Solved problems. Transaction analysis and journal entries. Problem. Analyze the transaction numbers 1 to 20 and determine whether each number is best recorded with any of the entries shown here under. A. Debit asset and credit liability. B. Debit asset and credit equity. C. Debit asset and credit another asset. D. Debit liability and credit assets. E. Debit equity and credit asset. F. Debit liability and credit another liability. G. Debit equity and credit another equity. H. Debit expense and credit asset. I. Debit asset and credit income. J. Debit expense and credit liability. K. Debit liability and credit income. L. Debit expense and credit income. Write the letter of the entry that would best record these transactions. 1. On January 1, Julio Cortez put up the Express Laundry Company with an investment of 500,000 cash. 2. On January 2, the company paid 30,000 advance rental for 3 months for office and shop space to start the same day. 3. On January 3, the company bought 150,000 worth of laundry equipment for which a promissory note was given to Simoy Imperial Appliances. 4. On January 5, 40,000 worth of office furniture and fixtures and 6,500 laundry supplies were paid for in cash. 5. On January 6, 30,000 office machines were bought on credit from Gella & Sons. 6. On January 7, 200,000 delivery van was acquired in cash from Espadera Cars and Accessories. 7. On January 8, the Philippines National Bank granted the company a 200,000 loan. 8. January 8, the company paid the Philippines National Bank advance interest 18% on the 200,000 loan for 1 year. 9. On January 10, 3 months advertising contract for 9,000 to start on January 16, 2000 was paid to Radio Filipino Network. 10. On January 14, these expenses paid in cash to date were recorded. Transportation and gasoline 3,150. Taxes and licenses 1,340. 11. On January 15, separate payments were made for salaries and wages 6,280, repairs and maintenance 300, and representation and entertainment 1,920. 12. On January 15, the company recorded laundry services rendered to date for which cash was received in the total of 54,000. 13. On January 18, the company billed Abultis lines 10,500 for laundry services rendered due in 30 days. 14. On January 21, the company billed E-Garden Foods for laundry services rendered amounted to 5,000. 15. On January 24, the company billed Hotel Medlodia 8,200 for laundry services rendered. 16. On January 26, Abultis Lines paid one half of its account. 17. On January 28, the company recorded laundry services for which total cash received amounted to 63,000. 18. On January 29, the company recorded these expenses paid to date. Transportation and gasoline 2,620 and repair and maintenance 1,250. 19. On January 31, these additional expenses were paid. Miscellaneous expenses 380 and electricity and water 6,578. 20. On January 31, the company paid month-end salaries of 6,280. Journalization. With the use of a general journal, record the preceding transactions that were analyzed in number 1 to 20 shown in the foregoing matching type quizzes. Solution. Transaction analysis. Transaction 1. On January 1, Julio Cortez put the Express Laundry Company with an investment of 500,000 cash. Analysis. B. Debit asset and credit equity. Transaction 2. On January 2, the company paid 30,000 advance rental for 3 months for office and shop space to start the same day. Analysis. H. Debit expense and credit asset. Transaction 3. On January 3, the company bought 150,000 worth of laundry equipment for which promissory note was given to Sima Imperial Appliances. Analysis. A. Debit asset and credit liability. Transaction 4. On January 5, 40,000 worth of office furniture and fixtures and 6,500 laundry supplies were paid for in cash. Analysis. D. Debit asset and credit asset. Transaction number 5. On January 6, 30,000 office machines were bought on credit from Gella & Sons. Analysis. A. Debit asset and credit liability. Transaction number 6. On January 7, 200,000 delivery van was acquired in cash from Espadra Cars and Accessories. Analysis. D. Debit asset and credit asset. Transaction number 7. On January 8, the Philippines National Bank granted the company 200,000 loan. Analysis. A. Debit asset and credit liability. Transaction number 8. On January 8, the company paid Philippine National Bank advance interest of 18% on the 200,000 loan for 1 year. Analysis. H. Debit expense and credit asset. Transaction number 9. On January 10, 3 months advertising contract for 9,000 to start on January 16 was paid to the Radio Filipino Network. Analysis. H. Debit expense and credit asset. Transaction number 10. On January 14, these expenses paid in cash to date were recorded. Transportation and gasoline 3,150, taxes and licenses 1,340. Analysis. H. Debit expense and credit asset. Transaction number 11. On January 15, separate payments were made for salaries and wages 6280, repairs and maintenance 300, and representation and entertainment 1,920. Analysis. Debit expenses and credit asset. Transaction number 12. On January 15, the company recorded laundry services rendered to date for which cash was received in the total of 54,000. Analysis. I. Debit asset and credit income. Transaction number 13. On January 18, the company billed Abortis Lines 10,500 for laundry services rendered due in 30 days. Analysis. I. Debit asset and credit income. Transaction number 14. On January 21, the company billed E Green Foods for laundry services rendered amounting to 5,000. Analysis. I. Debit asset and credit income. Transaction number 15. On January 24, the company billed Hotel Medelia 8,200 for laundry services rendered. Debit asset and credit income. Transaction number 16. On January 26, Abortis Lines paid one half of its account. Analysis. Debit asset and credit another asset. Transaction 17. On January 28, the company recorded laundry services for which total cash received amounted to 63,000. Analysis. I. Debit asset and credit income. Transaction 18. On January 29, the company recorded these expenses paid to date: transportation and gasoline 2620 and repair and maintenance 1250. Analysis. H. Debit expenses and credit asset. Transaction number 19. On January 31, these additional expenses were paid: miscellaneous expenses 380 and electricity and water 6578. Analysis. H. Debit expenses and credit asset. Transaction number 20. On January 21, the company paid month-end salaries of 6,280. Analysis. H. Debit expenses and credit asset. Solution. Journal analysis. On January 1, Julio Cortez put the Express Laundry Company with an investment of 500,000 cash. Cash account debtor 500,000. Julio Cortez capital credit 500,000. Being Julio Cortez invested into laundry company. Analysis. B. Debit asset and credit equity. 2. On January 2, the company paid 30,000 advance rental for 3 months for office and shop space to start the same day. Rental expense debit 30,000 to cash credit 30,000. Being rent for office and shop paid for 3 months. Analysis. H. Debit expense and credit asset. 3. On January 3, the company bought 150,000 worth of laundry equipment for which a promissory note was given to Sima Imperial Appliances. Laundry equipment debit 150,000, notes payable credit 150,000. being the laundry equipment bought from Simo Imperial Appliances. Analysis: A. Debit asset and credit liability. 4. On January 5, 40,000 worth of office furniture and fixtures, 6,500 laundry supplies were paid for in cash. Office furniture debit 40,000, laundry supplies debit 6,500, to cash credit 46,500, being the office furniture and laundry supplies bought for cash. Analysis: D. Debit asset and credit asset. 5. On January 6, 30,000 office machines were bought on credit from Gella & Sons. Office machines debit 30,000, accounts payable credit 30,000, being the office machines from Gella & Sons. Analysis: A. Debit asset and credit liability. 6. On January 7, 200,000 delivery van was acquired in cash from Espadera Cars and Accessories. Delivery van debit 200,000, cash credit 200,000, being the delivery van bought for cash. Analysis: D. Debit asset and credit asset. 7. On January 8, the Filipino National Bank granted the company a 200,000 loan. Cash debit 200,000, loan from Filipino National Bank credit to 200,000, being the loan taken from the bank. Analysis: debit asset and credit liability. 8. On January 8, the company paid the Philippine National Bank advance interest of 18% on the 200,000 loan for 1 year. Interest on loan debit 36,000, cash credit 36,000, being the advance interest on loan paid for 1 year. Analysis: debit expense and credit asset. 9. On January 10, 3 months advertising contract for 9,000 to start on January 16 was paid to the Radio Filipino network. Advertising expenses debtor 9,000, cash credit 9,000, being the advertisement expenses for 3 months paid. Analysis: H. Debit expense and credit asset. 10. On January 14, these expenses paid in cash to date were recorded. Transportation and gasoline 3,150 and taxes and licenses 1,340. Transportation and gasoline debit 3,150, taxes and liabilities debit 1,340, cash credit 4,490, being the transportation and taxes expenses paid. Analysis: H. Debit expense and credit asset. 11. On January 15, separate payments were made for salaries and wages 6,280, repairs and maintenance 300, and representatives and entertainment 1,920. Salaries and wages debit 6,280, repairs and maintenance debit 300, representation and entertainment debit 1,920, cash credit 8,500, being the expenses paid. Analysis: H. Debit expense and credit asset. 12. On January 15, the company recorded laundry services rendered to date for which cash was received in total of 54,000. Cash account debit 54,000, to laundry services income credit 54,000, being the laundry services income received in cash. Analysis: debit asset and credit income. 13. On January 18, the company billed about its lines 10,500 for laundry services rendered due in 30 days. Accounts receivable debit 10,500, laundry service income 10,500, being the laundry services rendered to about its lines. Analysis: I. Debit asset and credit income. 14. On January 21, the company billed E-Garden Foods for laundry services rendered amounting to 5,000. Accounts receivable debit 5,000, laundry services income credit 5,000, being the laundry services rendered to E-Garden Foods. Analysis: I. Debit asset and credit income. 15. On January 24, the company billed Hotel Mediodía 8,200 for laundry services rendered. Accounts receivable debit 8,200, to laundry services income 8,200, being the laundry services rendered to Hotel Mediodía. I. Debit asset and credit income. 16. On January 26, Aboitiz Lines paid one half of its account. Cash account debtor 5,250, accounts receivable credit 5,250, being the Aboitiz Lines paid half of the receivable from them. Analysis: C. Debit asset and credit another asset. 17. On January 28, the company recorded laundry services for which total cash received amounted to 63,000. Cash account debit 63,000. Laundry services income credit 63,000, being the laundry services income received in cash. Analysis. I. Debit asset and credit income. 18. On January 29, the company recorded these expenses paid to date: transportation and gasoline 2,620 and repair and maintenance 1,250. Transportation and gasoline expenses debit 2,620, taxes and liabilities expense debit 1,250, cash credit 3,870, being the transportation and taxes expenses paid. Analysis. H. Debit expenses and credit asset. 19. On January 31, the additional expenses were paid: miscellaneous expenses 380, electricity and water 6,578. Miscellaneous expenses debit 380, electricity and water debit 6,578. Cash credit 6,958, being the miscellaneous and electricity water expenses paid. Analysis. H. Debit expenses and credit asset. 20. On January 31, the company paid month-end salaries of 6,280. Salaries and wages debit 6,280. Cash credit 6,280, being the month-end salaries paid. Analysis. H. Debit expenses and credit asset. Recap. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel Accounts Lobby for various solved problems and lectures on accountancy.